To lose body fat, you have to burn more energy than you consume. It is an absolute, unavoidable physical boundary. The first law of thermodynamics was established in the 19th century by physicists like James Prescott Joule. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transferred. Every popular diet protocol, from strict keto to high-carb veganism, works by doing the exact same thing. They mechanically restrict your food intake so that the calories you burn outweigh the calories you eat. The physics of weight loss is a straightforward math equation, but executing that equation inside a human body turns into a hostile negotiation with your own brain. Because our ancestors evolved in environments where food was scarce, the human brain views stored body fat as a vital currency for survival. When you go on a severe crash diet, you suddenly slash your caloric income. Your brain detects this rapid deficit and immediately declares an economic crisis. To survive the perceived famine, your body activates an automated emergency protocol known as adaptive thermogenesis. It drastically cuts your daily operating overhead to conserve fuel. This dashboard tracks the body's three main physiological budget cuts. First, it dials down your thyroid function to lower your resting metabolism. Second, it spikes your hunger hormones. And third, it slashes something called Non-Exercise Activity Thermogenesis, or NEAT. Look closer at that NEAT metric. This represents all the subconscious movement you do throughout the day. When your brain cuts this budget, you stop fidgeting, pacing, and gesturing. Your body silently steals away those calorie-burning opportunities to keep you in the black. Aggressive starvation does not lead to a linear drop in body fat. Instead, it forces your system into a stubborn metabolic recession, where it hoards every remaining asset you have. You can bypass these starvation alarms by manipulating your dietary liquidity. The trick is to use food volume. 200 calories of dense, processed junk food takes up almost no space in your stomach, but 200 calories of water-rich, fibrous whole foods takes up a massive amount of room. This diagram shows an exact volumetric comparison. On the left is a tiny, dense cube of processed food, and on the right is a massive array of fibrous vegetables, both holding an identical 200-calorie value. Eating the vegetables mechanically stretches your stomach receptors, sending false signals of caloric wealth and extreme fullness directly to your brain. There is also the thermic effect of food, the metabolic price of digestion, often called the protein tax. Digesting protein is a metabolically expensive mechanical process. When you consume protein, your body is forced to burn up to 30% of those incoming calories just to break the nutrient down into a usable form. By maximizing food volume and paying the protein tax, you artificially inflate your daily energy expenditure. You stay in a caloric deficit while convincing your brain that you are completely full. Beyond what you eat, you have to manage your body's physical structure. Think of your biological tissues as different types of real estate investments. Stored fat is like a vacant warehouse. It is cheap, inert storage space that costs your body almost zero energy to maintain daily. This bar chart compares the daily energy expenditure of maintaining 1 pound of fat versus 1 pound of muscle tissue. Muscle is highly active, metabolically expensive real estate that constantly demands fuel to survive. Look at the specific return on investment here. At rest, that muscle tissue burns up to 7 times more calories than the equivalent amount of fat. Lifting heavy weights sends a biological mandate through your nervous system. It forces your brain to prioritize and protect this expensive muscle tissue, even when you are operating in a caloric deficit. Building muscle shifts your body toward burning a higher baseline of calories just by existing. You are creating an engine that demands energy 24 hours a day. This erratic seismograph reading represents the biological chaos of chronic stress, driven by the ultimate market regulator, cortisol. It is a hormone that can instantly veto all of your metabolic efforts. When you are chronically stressed or sleep-deprived, your nervous system remains locked in a constant, low-grade state of panic. This diagram shows a cross-section of the human torso. It highlights normal subcutaneous fat just under the skin, and then reveals the invasive expansion of deep inflammatory visceral fat. Elevated cortisol commands your body to preferentially pack this dangerous visceral fat tightly around your internal organs. The physiological remedy is strict. You have to prioritize 7 to 9 hours of high-quality sleep and use low-intensity movement to actively clear that cortisol out of your bloodstream. Your body will only willingly liquidate its emergency fat reserves if the neurological environment signals that it is entirely safe to do so. True physiological body recomposition is never achieved through the panic of a sudden market crash or an extreme starvation diet. The winning biological portfolio requires a systematic approach. You maintain a mild caloric deficit, leverage the protein tax, fiercely protect your compounding muscle mass, and manage your physiological stress. When you stop fighting your evolutionary biology and start strategically managing its underlying economy, sustainable fat loss moves from a hostile negotiation to a predictable outcome.